Hello, my dear English learners. Welcome back. Today we're doing something a little different, and I think it's going to help you more than you expect. Let me ask you something. Have you ever understood a question in English perfectly, completely, without any confusion at all, but when it was your turn to answer, you just froze? Not because you didn't understand, because you didn't know how to organize your answer. This happens to so many learners, and it's actually one of the biggest hidden gaps in English speaking. Understanding a question is only half the skill. Answering it smoothly, naturally, and confidently is the other half, and it's the half that almost nobody practices directly. So today we're going to fix exactly that. I'm going to give you 10 real-life questions, the kind you hear constantly in small talk, at work, meeting new people, everyday situations. And for each one, I'll show you exactly how to build a natural, confident answer. Then we'll shadow all of it together, out loud, so it becomes automatic. By the end of this video, these 10 questions won't scare you anymore. You'll actually look forward to hearing them. Let me tell you something important about why this specific skill matters so much. Most English courses teach you grammar rules and vocabulary lists. But real conversations don't work like a grammar exercise. Nobody hands you a question and gives you time to write a perfect answer. Real questions come suddenly in the middle of a conversation, and you have to respond immediately, out loud, in real time. This is exactly why so many learners feel confident reading English, but nervous speaking it. Reading gives you time to think. Speaking doesn't. The good news is most everyday questions repeat themselves constantly. How are you? What do you do? Where are you from? What did you do this weekend? These questions appear again and again in almost every English-speaking environment, whether you're traveling, working, or just meeting someone new, which means something wonderful. If you prepare strong, natural answers for these common questions and practice them enough times that they become automatic, you will feel prepared for a huge percentage of real conversations you'll actually have. Today we build exactly that. Think about this like learning a new sport. Tennis, for example. A beginner tennis player doesn't practice every possible shot equally. They start by practicing the shots that come up again and again in every match. The basic forehand, the basic backhand, the basic serve. Once those become automatic, everything else becomes much easier because the foundation is already solid. English conversation works exactly the same way. There's no need to prepare for every possible question in the English language. That would be impossible and, honestly, unnecessary. Instead, we prepare deeply for the questions that repeat constantly in real life. These become your foundation, your basic forehand and backhand, ready and automatic, so that when they come up, and they will come up, you respond smoothly, without panic, without searching for words. Let me tell you about a young man named Farid. Farid moved to a new country for work. His English was decent, he could read reports, write emails, understand meetings. But outside of work, in casual conversations, something strange kept happening. Every single day, coworkers would ask him simple questions in the break room. How was your weekend? Where are you originally from? What do you do for fun? And every single time, even though these were incredibly simple questions, Farid felt his mind go blank for a second. Not because he didn't understand, because he had never actually practiced answering them out loud before. He knew the words. He just wasn't ready to produce them instantly under the small social pressure of a real conversation. After a few weeks of feeling exhausted by these small daily interactions, Farid decided to try something. Every night, he wrote down one question he had struggled with that day, and he practiced saying a natural answer out loud, 3 or 4 times, until it felt smooth. Within about 3 weeks, something had shifted. The break room conversations stopped feeling exhausting. They started feeling normal, even enjoyable. Not because his English suddenly became more advanced, because he had finally practiced the exact questions that kept appearing in his real daily life. That's exactly the method we're using today, just organized into one focused video instead of 3 weeks of trial and error. Before we start practicing, I want to give you one simple formula you can use for almost any everyday question, because this formula makes your answers sound natural instead of robotic. Here it is. Answer plus one small extra detail. plus a question back if it fits naturally. Let me show you what I mean. If someone asks, "How was your weekend?" A robotic answer would just be, "Good." That's technically correct, but it ends the conversation immediately and it doesn't sound very natural. A better answer follows our formula. First, the answer, "It was really nice." Then, one small extra detail. "I went hiking with a few friends." Then, a question back, if it fits naturally. "How about you? Did you do anything fun?" Notice something. This isn't complicated English. Every word is simple, but the structure, answer, detail, question back makes the conversation feel alive and natural instead of short and awkward. We're going to use this exact formula for all 10 questions today. I want you to notice something before we start practicing. These aren't random questions I picked. Every single one of these 10 questions shows up constantly in real life, whether you're traveling, starting a new job, meeting your partner's friends, chatting with a neighbor, or simply making small talk while waiting in line somewhere. Because these questions repeat so often, the return on practicing them is enormous. You're not preparing for one specific conversation. You're preparing for hundreds of small conversations that will happen throughout your life, in almost every English-speaking environment you'll ever find yourself in. All right, let's put this into practice. I'm going to give you 10 real-life questions, one at a time. For each one, I'll show you a natural sample answer using our formula, and then we'll shadow that answer together out loud 3 times, so it starts becoming automatic in your own mouth. Remember, these are sample answers to help train your mouth and your rhythm. Once we're done, I want you to personalize a few of these with your own real details, which we'll practice at the end. Take a breath and let's begin. Each question plus sample answer repeated 3x on screen with highlighted karaoke-style text. Brief encouragement lines inserted after every 2 to 3 questions, matching source cadence. Question 1, how are you? Sample answer, I'm doing really well, thanks for asking. Just had a busy morning, but I'm good. How about you? Question 2, what do you do? Sample answer, I work in marketing for a small company. It's pretty interesting, actually. What about you? What do you do? Great job. Let's keep going. Question 3. Where are you from? Sample answer. I'm originally from a small city, but I've been living here for a few years now. What about you? Question 4. What did you do this weekend? Sample answer. I mostly relaxed at home, but I also met some friends for dinner on Saturday. It was really nice. How was yours? Question 5. How long have you been learning English? Sample answer, I've been learning for a few years now, but I've been practicing much more seriously recently. It's definitely improving. You're doing really well. 5 more questions to go. Question 6. What do you like to do in your free time? Sample answer, I really enjoy reading and going for walks. I also love watching movies on the weekend, especially with friends. Question 7. How's work going? Sample answer, it's going pretty well, actually. A little busy this week, but nothing I can't handle. How's everything on your side? Question 8. Do you have any plans for the holidays? Sample answer. Not exactly yet, but I'm hoping to visit my family for a few days. What about you? Any plans? Fantastic. We're almost there, just 2 more. Question 9. What's your favorite thing about living here? Sample answer. Honestly, I really love the food and how friendly people are here. It made settling in so much easier. Question 10. What are you working on these days? Sample answer, I'm actually focusing a lot on improving my English speaking, especially practicing real conversations like this one. Before we move to personalization practice, I want to give you 3 bonus questions, just as common as the first 10, in case you have a little extra energy for practice today. Bonus question 1. What kind of music do you like? Sample answer, I listen to a lot of different genres, honestly, but I especially love pop and some acoustic music. What about you? Bonus question 2. Have you traveled anywhere recently? Sample answer, not recently, but I'm actually planning a short trip soon. I'm really looking forward to it. Have you traveled anywhere lately? Bonus question 3. What's something you're looking forward to? Sample answer, I'm really looking forward to the weekend, honestly. It's been a busy week, so I just want to relax a little. What about you? Shadow these three the same way as before, 3 times each, out loud. Small, consistent practice like this, even with just a few extra questions, adds up quickly over time. Now, here's something important. The answers we just practiced were sample answers designed to train your rhythm and your mouth. But real conversations need your real details, your real life, your real story. So here's your challenge. Choose 3 questions from today's practice, any 3 you found useful, and say them again, out loud. But this time, replace the sample details with your own real answer. For example, instead of saying, I work in marketing, say what you actually do. Instead of saying, I'm originally from a small city, say where you're actually from. This step matters enormously because it moves these answers from being my words into being your words, spoken confidently, ready for the very next time someone asks you one of these exact questions in real life, which, trust me, will probably happen sooner than you think. Before we talk about why this formula works everywhere, let me quickly mention 2 small mistakes I see often with these everyday questions, so you can avoid them starting today. These come up constantly, even with learners who already know a lot of vocabulary. The first mistake is answering with just one word and stopping completely. When someone asks, how are you? And you simply say, good, the conversation almost always ends there because you haven't given the other person anything to respond to. This is exactly why the small extra detail in our formula matters so much. It's not about writing a long answer. It's about giving the conversation something to continue with. The second mistake is forgetting to ask a question back. Many learners focus so much on answering correctly that they forget conversations are a two-way exchange. When you ask something back, even a very simple one like, what about you? It immediately makes the conversation feel warmer, more natural, and more like a real connection between 2 people, rather than a question and answer test. Small adjustments like these make an enormous difference in how natural and confident you sound in everyday English conversations. Before we recap, I want you to notice something powerful about the formula we use today. Answer, detail, question back. This formula doesn't only work for these 10 specific questions. It works for almost any everyday question you'll ever be asked in English. Once this pattern becomes automatic in your mind, you won't need to memorize hundreds of specific answers anymore. You'll simply apply this same natural structure to whatever question comes your way, and your answer will sound smooth and confident, even if it's a question you've never heard before. This is exactly the same idea we've discussed in previous videos on this channel. It's not about memorizing everything. It's about deeply practicing a pattern that works again and again, so you can adapt it naturally, in real time, in real conversations. Before we recap, I want to share one more small but powerful tip, something that has nothing to do with grammar or vocabulary at all. How you say your answer matters just as much as what you say. A short, simple answer delivered with a warm smile in your voice and a steady pace will always sound more confident than a long, perfect answer said quickly and nervously. So, as you practice these 10 questions, don't just focus on the words. Focus on your tone too. Try to sound relaxed, even if you don't feel completely relaxed yet. Slow down slightly. Let your voice sound genuinely interested in the conversation. This small shift in delivery can make even the simplest answers sound wonderfully natural and confident. Let's recap what we practiced together today. You practiced 10 real-life questions that come up constantly in everyday English conversations, along with natural sample answers built using a simple formula. Answer, one small detail, and a question back. You learned that understanding a question is only half the skill. Building a smooth, natural answer, ready to use instantly, is the other half. And it's the half most learners never practice directly. And most importantly, you didn't just read these answers silently. You said them out loud again and again, training your mouth and your rhythm. So the next time one of these questions comes up in a real conversation, your response will already feel familiar. If you practice today's questions out loud with me, comment 10 questions done below. I love reading these, and it genuinely helps me know these lessons are making a real difference for learners like you. If this video helped you, please like it. It helps this lesson reach more learners who want to feel more confident in everyday English conversations. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because next time we're going to tackle 10 more real-life questions, this time focused specifically on workplace conversations. And remember, you already know more English than you think. Today we just made it easier to use.